We're here today because actually a phone call had gone to Mr. Allard, who died of Mr. Allard being in the library. When Mr. Allard spoke to me, I called Officer Detective McConnell and informed him that Mr. Allard could be in the library as pertained to the terms and conditions of the probation. And I received a phone call on Friday back from Detective indicating to me that he was sending me a police report that indicated that Mr. Allard was at the children's circulation desk on the ground level of the library. And that was a conflict that they were trying to take out. Mr. Allard indicated that he was trying to remove his library file. I called at that point Mr. Allard, who was in New Hampshire on a travel permit issued by the court. Because the Lowell Transitional House took him to the Pheasant Lane Mall to lens practice, where he was able to get a pair of glasses for free through a program we have there. He did return. I did have a warrant issued on Friday. He was placed in custody. He came in the courthouse, and he was informed that he was placed in custody due to the fact that he had been in the children's section of the library, which was a violation of the terms and conditions of probation. Both like on the 7th or the 10th.
That was in conjunction with stipulated by the
correct.
All right. Have you served him with further notice?
A surrender notice was given in hand. It was TBA. To be announced because we didn't have a date because it was being held over the weekend. We brought him yesterday in front of Judge Turner. As it pertains to one, Judge Turner listened to both myself and counsel and held him without bill for 1 day to bring him back before the court.
Yes. Mr. Foster, are you asking that Mr. Allard be held
I would be asking that Mr. Allard be held without bill pending final surrender to the terms of the violation.
I'd ask your question across the board, Mr. Allard. Even with a liberal reading of the issue, where Mr. Allard was at the circulation desk, which is the same circulation desk we discussed 2 weeks ago. Where Mr. Allard was allowed to be down in that area as long as he didn't go into those separate and distinct children's areas, which are separated by doors and every by walls. As we discussed before, there's the children's internet area, children's area, youth services area, and the younger children's area. Those are the areas that he was forbidden to go to. As we discussed, there are times where that's the only door that you can get into the library or out of the library. Given this was not one of those times, but that he would have access to that main circulation area which is on that ground floor. So I suggest it's not even probable cause to say it's a violation. If there is probable cause, what I suggest is that it's not a danger to anyone. He goes there with the same person who goes all the time. She's referencing that pollution report. And she's been in the court on other occasions. She was here earlier today. He goes with another person. He goes to the public area. He doesn't pose any risk. He doesn't pose any threat to these people. He does nothing while he's there at Chicago House. And as we were here on a prior occasion, it was indicated by the board of probation from the librarian that Mr. Allard, over the past year, has been in that library and wanted to use well over 200 times. He's a regular user of that library. And that's a regular part of the library. Walking that side door, the circulation desk is right behind you. You don't have to enter the children's area whatsoever. I suggest that you release Mr. Allard pending surrender of the order.
Mr. Richards, I would like to clarify Officer Davis's report. I'm sorry, Officer Valiant's report, but Officer Davis indicates that one want to do so in the library, according to the police officer, that Mr. Allard had approached her with his girlfriend and was in the young adult section of the library. And that the young adult section is for children in grades 6 through 12. That would be an area of the library. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. That would be an area of the library that is accessible to children under 16, and Mr. Allard is prohibited from having contact with children in that age range. So his presence in the young adult section of the library is concerning to the court. Would you want to say anything about that, Mr. Richards?
In the report, it states that he was with the same young lady that used the library at the time. So he was not unsupervised, not with the adult. Additionally, that's not a portion of the library that the court addressed last time we were here. The young adult section, I'm guessing, the first floor was in the teens.
I wasn't advised that there was a separate teen section of the library. However, the concern is, in addition to the concern about the children's section, which I agree, Mr. Richard, there is a general circulation desk on that level, and as I was informed the last time we were here, that may be the only circulation desk that is available to the public at certain times, and apparently not at the time that this incident occurred. And then there's the other incident. Even though there wasn't a specific order that Mr. Allard remained away from the teen section of the library, it seems to me that his presence in the teen section of the library is potentially a violation of the terms and conditions that were established previously on his probation. I agree we didn't discuss that section specifically, but he has been very specifically ordered not to have any contact unsupervised with children under 16. Whether the presence of his girlfriend constitutes supervision or not, I'm not in a position to make a determination on that at this point in time. Did you want to say something else?
Your Honor, just for the record, on 7/21/10, when Mr. Richards, Mr. Allard was released, he was released with the understanding that he was not to be in the children's section of all public libraries except to pass through if necessary. That's when he got released without bail, based upon the fact that the police, he was picked up on a warrant and no charges filed. When we came back and he was found in violation, it was clearly stated by Your Honor to stay away from the children's section of any and all libraries amended 7/28/10. The if necessary part was clearly agreed to by counsel as well as myself to be taken out. He was not to be in the library. The police report indicates that he was at the ground level of the library at the circulation desk. Also, what transpires is that, as Your Honor, after 5 o'clock, he would have to come out that section of the library because I informed the court as I saw my library that the front doors the main library closed.
Yes.
And there was no exception made for him to be leaving the library after 5 o'clock for the children's section. He was not to be in that section whatsoever as it pertains to the new amended contract of 720.
Well, there are two separate sections, and as I understand this report, there are two separate incidents here. There's an incident reported by his neighbor, who dealt with Mr. Allard in the general circulation desk area on the ground floor adjacent to the children's room.
Correct.
And then there was Ms. Duso, who dealt with Mr. Allard another day, it is earlier on August 2nd, in the teen section, two separate areas of the library, as I understand it. I did have a brochure that showed the layout of the library, we're talking about the main library. Do you have that with you, Mr. Russell?
Judge, if I may.
Yes.
I visited the library with Detective Mercado this afternoon. In fairness to the defendant, there is this young adult section, which is on the main floor, which is the second floor, where the main circulation desk is, sort of at the end of the room. It's somewhat, there's stacks of books. The books in question that the defendant was expressing interest in was sort of at the entrance to that separate area where the middle school and high school students are generally present at. So the Commonwealth is not necessarily alleging that that is the violation of being there. There is obviously concern that this defendant is expressing interest in books that are generally used and read by young adults. But specifically, what is alleged in this violation is two separate incidents where the defendant, after July 28th, when his conditions were amended, did approach the main desk on the second floor of Ms. Duce regarding renewing his library card. Because he does not have a permanent address, the requirements are that you have to renew your library card every 6 months. His had expired. So when he approached the main level, the second floor, the adult section, about renewing his library card, they were told that he needed to provide a permanent address. He did not have it at that time, and he was sent away. It's my understanding that it was the following day, again, knowing that he was not supposed to go to that children's area of the library, did return to the library. Rather than go back to the desk that he initially had approached on the second floor, he went to the circulation desk on the first floor.
And that was at a time when the...
Before 5 o'clock. Yes, and if the defendant were to come from the little transition shelter where he was allegedly staying, the first entrance would have been the one on Merrimack Street, which would have brought him onto the second floor. So there wasn't a need for him to be going through that entrance at that time of day. There certainly wasn't a need for him to stop that circulation desk. The Commonwealth did provide photos to Attorney Richard. While there is, and I don't know why, there is this, you have to pass that circulation desk to get to the stairs, to get up to the second floor. That desk is almost exclusively used for children's books and circulation of children's materials.
Except after 5 p.m. When it's the only circulation desk that's available.
But around that desk in that general area is children's books, displays for children. The other rooms that Attorney Richard was referring to, they're not separated by actual doors. They're very wide, open areas. They are separated by stacks. It's unfortunate that the library is set up where it does require at certain hours that all patrons have to pass through that area. But the Commonwealth's position would be that that is essentially the children's section of the library, and where he potentially returned to that desk on the second day after being told to return with his proper information. I would suggest that, and I would add that it was noted by the library personnel that he had changed his appearance somewhat from the initial arrest where he had his hair, and when he returned the second time last week, he was not wearing the glasses that he was normally wearing, and he was wearing a baseball cap at that time. Almost suggests to, again, knowing that the library personnel were on notice of his appearance in the library, could suggest that he was intentionally trying to avoid being noticed at that time.
Mr. Richard, do you want to say anything else?
As has been indicated by probation earlier, he didn't have glasses because they were broken. He had a broken haircut. He had a haircut. He's not going to try to hide his appearance. He's trying to go to the library. And he's giving his name, he's giving his proper name. He's not trying to sneak in and do things. He's trying to go to the library. And use the library as he always has. Messages and distribute what he's been doing.
I'm going to find probable cause for the violation based on Mr. Allard's presence on the lower level of the library adjacent to the children's area at a time when it wasn't necessary for him to be in that area because the circulation desk on the upper floor was in fact open at that time of the day. And I'm going to hold Mr. Allard without bail pending his final surrender hearing. What date do you want, Mr. Osmond?
You want to move it off? You want to just for the record, Mr. Allard did come physically on August 4th to issue travel permit. I questioned his haircut. He had had his haircut before his show. At the same time, he come and asked about if he could ask him to come.
All right. Well, I haven't made any finding based on Mr. Allard's appearance, rather based on his presence in that section of the library. So, Mr. Boston, I'm going to hand this back to you for a short note of library, so that the pages. The 25th, is that work for you, Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
The 25th is 2 o'clock. Okay, here's the police report as well.
Tuesday, March 25th at 2 p.m. Defendant will be held without bail, continue to be held without bail, and these will be facts of the institution. Defendant may have number 23, Paul versus Jason Ryan.